it out that the sun shines down its power to all the world and makes the wind blow strong as it will. I wonder how gentle rains can fall upon the land, so lovely earth can stay lovely still. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 581st edition of Energy Week with George Harvey and Tom Fennell. Tom is again not here today. Today is, well, the day we were supposed to record this, or we would have recorded it, was the 11th of July, but today is the 15th. The reason for the delay is because the BCTV had its summer camp for kids, which is an issue. It's not something I would want to push aside. So we're starting on the 4th of July, which is a Thursday, and ending on the 10th. And if you want to read the articles that I refer to, you can see them by going to my blog, geoharvey.com, geoharvey.com, or you can go down on the screen, scroll down into the whatcha-zingers at the lower on the screen, if you have a lower on the screen, which people working with computers would. You can go down and you'll find a couple of links, one of which goes to the website that Tom and I have used for years to develop the show, and the other gives you a download of the material that you would find at that link. And all of that has live links to the articles that I'm talking about. If you go to the blog, you'll get 15 articles every day. And but if you go to the links, you'll get 3 a day, and those 3 are 3 that I'm talking about. So we're going to start with the 4th of July. And here we have a sunset and turbine picture. The article is from Clean Technica, and the title is Record Electricity from Green Power in Germany at 140 terawatt hours. By the way, that is 140,000 gigawatt hours. More renewable electricity was generated in Germany in the first half of 2024 than ever before. It accounts for 65% of net public electricity generation, according to data from the Fraunhofer Institute. Fossil fuels output continues to decline, as do the prices of electricity on the exchange. So that is the change in Germany, which is largely brought about, unfortunately, by the war in Ukraine. The Germans felt that they had to stop importing natural gas from Russia, so they developed wind power and solar power to offset the demand for natural gas. Our next item is from ABC News, and it has a picture of glaciers. This particular picture is the Juneau ice field. The title of the article is Glaciers on Alaskan Ice Field Melting at an Incredibly Worrying Pace, Study Finds. The glaciers on a major Alaskan ice field are melting twice as fast as recorded over a decade ago. Researchers say the rate of ice loss is incredibly worrying. Incredibly worrying is in quotes here. The research, led by scientists at Newcastle University in the UK, was published in Nature Communications. What is happening here is happening nearly everywhere. The rate at which glaciers are melting, the polar ice caps are melting, and so forth, is the highest ever seen, I believe. But I think it's fairly obvious that that's why the scientists are, as they say, incredibly worried. The rate of climate change has made the rate of melt much faster, and so they have that as a problem. Okay, our next item is the picture here. The title says "Introducing an Electric Bus." The article comes from Clean Technica. The title of the article is "The State of Electric School Bus Adoption in the United States." More than 21 million U.S. children ride school buses, and over 90% of which are run on diesel fuel. Diesel exhaust is a known carcinogen with proven links to serious issues for both physical health and cognitive development. With more electric school buses on the road, these risks are reduced. And what you see there is a man talking about a school bus that is being introduced to people in Fairfax County. I believe it's Virginia. I might be wrong about that, but it's the business of electric school buses is very important for a variety of reasons, not the least of which are the use of fuel, the production of exhaust, the cost. The electric school buses are getting to the point where they're cheaper to buy than diesel-powered buses, and in fact, they are cheaper to buy if you buy them without a battery, which BYD has been doing, possibly not in the United States, but in much of the rest of the world. They've been selling the bus and leasing the battery. This means that the cost, the large part of the cost of the bus is not included in the purchase price, although battery prices in China have declined by close to 50% in the last year. So that's something to take into account. Okay, we're up to Friday, July 5th, and we have a picture of renewable energy. This publication is, this particular article is from Renewable Energy magazine. The title of the article is "Labour Party Wins UK General Election with Promising Implications for the UK Green Economy." The Labour Party has won the UK general election, making Sir Keir Starmer the country's new Prime Minister, and the former Prime Minister Rishi Sunak conceded defeat. The result has promising implications for the UK green economy. The UK has had basically a ban on new wind farms and to some extent solar farms in England. So the big places where these have been developed have been in primarily Scotland and Wales. I'm not sure about Northern Ireland. I think that Northern Ireland has gone with it too, but certainly onshore wind power. If I read about onshore wind power in the UK, I figured that I'm probably reading about something that's going on in Scotland, and if not, then I'm reading about something that is going on in Wales. And what the recent election is making clear is that this is changing. The English are going to be having their wind farms and solar farms like everybody else has. So that is going to make a difference. Okay, our next item, we have a picture of the path of Hurricane Beryl. And this is from Clean Technica, this article. The title is Hurricane Beryl, Earliest Category 5 Hurricane Ever, and Other Facts. Climate insecurity is rising, including larger, more frequent hurricanes. The latest example is Hurricane Beryl, a Category 5 hurricane. In fact, as the title notes, this is the earliest Category 5 hurricane ever recorded in the Atlantic. And that is not the end of Hurricane Beryl's records. So basically what's happened here is that Hurricane Beryl, I think the thing to say is that Hurricane Beryl crossed the Atlantic Ocean at a point where the Atlantic Ocean heat, the temperature of the water, was not a typical July temperature. The water in the Atlantic the temperature rises and falls rather slowly. So at the beginning of summer, you have a fairly cool Atlantic Ocean compared to what you get in September. And this year, the temperature of the Atlantic Ocean over which this hurricane crossed was approximately what it would be in September. Now, this is a very disturbing development. I mean, the scientists knew this was happening before it did, but nevertheless, it was a very disturbing development early in the year because the temperature of the Atlantic is probably going to continue to rise. So Hurricane Beryl, in this picture, Hurricane Beryl is coming ashore on the Yucatan, and it crosses the Yucatan. Then it goes out to sea, having lost a lot of its punch. But it crosses a bit of the Caribbean, and then it is eventually what happens is it hits the coast of Texas farther north than this indicates the strongest probability is. And when it hit the coast of Texas, it was still a hurricane, but it very quickly diminished into a storm, which, by the way, passed north of us. It went, I guess, up to Canada and turned east and went north of us. Hit northern Vermont very hard. And, it's one more year of flooding in Montpelier and Rutland north of us. But it produced flooding in northern Vermont for the third year in a row. I don't know. Okay, we have a picture of a balcony in Germany. And this is from Yahoo News UK. It is a picture of an apartment balcony. And the title is Germany Gives Apartment Dwellers Legal Right to Solar Power. Germany's lower house of parliament has passed legal amendments allowing apartment owners and tenants to install solar systems on their balconies as the country seeks to increase uptake of the energy form, that is to say, of solar power. More than half of the population of Germany live in rented homes. And this is something that they pass to the advantage of people who have rented apartments and rented homes in which they live. They have a right now to solar power, and it is expected that they're going to be using that right, exercising that right. Our next item is a data center. We're up to Saturday, July 6th. And the data center, this is from PV Magazine Australia. The title is Digital World Driving Growing Demand for Renewable Generation. The world's reliance on the internet, the shift to cloud computing, the emergence of artificial intelligence all fuel increased demand for data centers. The IEA, which is the International Energy Administration, might be agency. I think it's agency. Projects that by 2026, data centers will consume more than 800 terawatt hours annually, more than double what they used in 2022. And this is something that I personally find kind of aggravating, because a lot of this change is not internet or shift to cloud computing. It's the emergence of artificial intelligence. And the thing that bothers me about the emergence of artificial intelligence is that when, in years gone by, I filed for and received patents for ways to represent words, phrases as bit fields. Very simple. It's really a very simple approach. And I think is probably hundreds of times more powerful than the computers that they're using. And I think the reason why I never got a patent to sell was that I was up against the fact that you have this culture in the United States and elsewhere where they work on the basis of not invented here, we're not interested in it. And so they had their ideas of how artificial intelligence should be done. I wanted to do it by use of reason that was rational. I wanted to be able to reduce it to a rational system. And they basically said, you can't do that. But I did it. I'll give you an example. I could put values into registers, values for data, words, phrases. I could put things in registers that represented such things as a car, a rickshaw, a taxi cab, a motorboat. I could put in a taxi cab and a rickshaw, ask the computer to find the difference between the two. It would do it with an XOR instruction in one clock cycle. And this is just a regular desktop computer. I would get I should say, to do it in one clock cycle, you'd have to have a computer with a special CPU that would do things a little bit differently. But then if you say, okay, what's the difference between a car, between a taxi cab and a rickshaw, or a pedicab, to make things exactly correct, let's integrate that difference into a motorboat. What do you get? And what you get is a value of a pedal-powered boat, and that happens in a second clock cycle. So you could, in a 2 gigahertz machine, you could do 1 billion of these compares in 1 second. And I don't think that the machinery that they're using, which they're talking about building nuclear power plants to support, could do that in a second. So I find this, I think that what's happening is we are looking at a problem. We're seeking the obvious answer. If you want it to work, you've got to make it look like a human mind. And then we put all our money and our thought power into that. And it's not going to work. It's not going to work in a way because it has the same problems that a human mind has. But it's also very inefficient. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, I find it kind of difficult. That picture, by the way, I'll put it back up. That picture, by the way, is a data center with a rooftop solar system. So that rooftop solar system is supposed to be contributing to running that data center. Okay, our next item is from Clean Technica. We have a picture of a Volvo EX30. The title of the article is globally, 48% of Volvo car sales are now plug-in vehicles. It's very close to half. Yet another automaker highlighting its EV sales growth last quarter is Volvo Cars. Its data show that 48% of the cars sold in June were plug-ins. Volvo's overall sales grew 8%, but its plug-in vehicle sales grew a whopping 41%. That tells us that Volvo's non-plug-in vehicle sales actually declined. Yes, I think they actually declined. And that is a big deal. It is not surprising. The automobile industry has not recovered. I should amend that. The gasoline and diesel powered cars have not recovered the numbers that they had before COVID. The electric sales of electric vehicles have continued to increase. Now, I want to point out, you're going to find people complaining or making statements about the fact, I'm putting that in quotes, the fact that car sales have declined, including electric vehicles. In fact, what has happened is Tesla's sales did not increase anywhere near like they were expected to, and in fact, in some places declined. But other car sales have gone up, and they have increased. The electric sales have increased in the way that you would have expected them to increase when Tesla was doing well. The thing that is not doing well is internal combustion. So internal combustion vehicles are not doing well. Tesla is not doing well. And everybody else seems to, well, I shouldn't say everybody else, but a lot of other automakers are selling more than they had. Okay, we have a picture here of pongamia trees growing in, I believe this is growing in Florida. I might be wrong about that. This might be Florida despite the fact that the land is falling off rather steeply. It doesn't have to be going down very far. This is from ABC News, ABC being American Broadcast Corporation. Pongamia trees grow where citrus once flourished, offering renewable energy and protein. As parts of the Florida citrus industry have all but dried up over the last 2 decades due to 2 fatal diseases, some farmers are planting pongamia trees, a climate-resilient species that can produce plant-based proteins and sustainable biofuel. I should put that up so that you can see it. I'm sorry. Basically what happened here is citrus greening and citrus canker were the 2 diseases that hit the citrus industry in Florida. Citrus greening is a big problem, which has reduced the amount of citrus grown in Florida by 75%. That's huge. And the citrus greening has spread to Louisiana, Texas, and California. So naturally, if you're going to get orange juice or oranges in the supermarket, you're going to have to pay a lot of money for it. Pongamia are drought and rain resistant, and what they produce is a bean. They are a legume, but they produce a bean that has about 4 times as much protein per acre of plantation as soy. So you can get a lot of material out of the plantations that have this. It's a big deal. This is something that I'm going to tell people. I think we have to be prepared for this all over, and in particular, where I live in Brattleboro, Vermont, we have a very small garden. Most of our important plants are planted in pots, which are in the driveway, and in the fall they're brought in the spring they're taken out. We've been doing this for years. Among the plants that we have been growing this way are fig trees, 3 different cultivars of figs, and other trees. But in the past, we have grown, we started with calamandans, which are a very tart citrus that look like oranges, but they're about that big. And they have a really good flavor. They are extremely tart, though. If you like kumquats, you'd probably like calamandans, but you don't have to like calamandans to appreciate the marmalade they make or other things that they can be used for. They are, I believe, the largest, most commonly grown citrus trees in the Philippines. They're involved in Philippine cooking, and they are easy to grow. And we have had a 4-foot tall tree with over 200 fruit on it. From that, we branched to other things, which include blood orange, Meyer lemon, Eureka lemon, variegated lemon, Persian lime, Macrut lime, which is also called Kefir lime, and a couple of cultivars of finger limes, and a few other things. We're not even sure exactly what they are because they were given to us. We, by the way, are myself and my landlady. But there's more than that. I mean, we're taking on more and more plants, and we're trying for, having been growing the citrus for over 10 years, we're trying for avocados, quince, pomegranate, and so forth. So, you know, the point that I'm making, and I'll reinforce this with something. The point that I'm making is we can grow things that we had never grown before. Some of these trees could have been grown 30 years ago, but now there are trees being grown in the ground. We don't have them, but pawpaws, the ones that are Native American trees, not, there's a type of pawpaw tree that is not the Native American tree, but these are the Native American trees. They have fruit that look like potatoes, slightly green without eyes, and they're funny, and they have they're kind of like, they're called custard apples. And I think that kind of tells you what they're like. Let me put that picture up. The trees that we're growing are mostly trees that would grow someplace far south of where we are. But we have these pawpaws growing in the neighborhood that are just growing in the neighborhood. And we have trees like peaches that are growing, in Brattleboro. We have 2 peach trees. One came from a nursery and another one is just a volunteer. It started growing. The point that I'm making is the climate is changing. I believe that 40 years ago, where I live was probably in zone 4, agricultural zone 4. Today, it is in agricultural zone 6. Okay, I have to be perfectly clear on that. It's about 150 feet from the border of zone 6, as averaged over the last 15 years. The border goes up Green Street. So, anyway, those are pongamia trees that you see planted there. Okay, we're up to Sunday, July 7th, and we have a picture of solar panels that are covered with a funny substance, reflectors. This is from a site called The Cool Down. Researchers unveil innovative technology that outperforms conventional solar panels using both sun and cold universe energy. Penn State researchers developed a way to harvest solar energy in a solar cell, like normal, but also direct heat away from the Earth using radiative cooling, sending infrared light back into outer space. And what you're seeing here is an interesting picture in which the solar cells, the solar panels, are under this reflector, which allows normal light to go through, that is visual light to go through. I don't know what it does with the ultraviolet light, but with the infrared light, which is what is used to what is basically heat energy. The infrared light is being reflected off into space. And this is, it's an interesting thing to see, because the infrared light is what heats things. And, we have various ways of they're thinking about trying to reflect solar energy back into space by creating clouds and things like geoengineering. This will do geoengineering without creating problems of having sulfur dioxide in the atmosphere. Now, I don't know what other kinds of problems might happen with this. Perhaps none, perhaps something. I don't know. It's not something that is fully developed, so we'll just have to keep an eye out. Okay, we have a picture of a wildfire near Athens 3 years ago. This is from ABC News. The title is "The frequency and magnitude of extreme wildfires have doubled in the last 20 years, according to a study. The frequency and magnitude of extreme wildfires, the most damaging to climate, society, and ecosystems, appear to have doubled in the last 20 years, according to a study published Monday in the journal Nature, Ecology, and Evolution." And what you're seeing here is, this is a picture taken from someplace in Athens, Greece. And it's a picture of a wildfire approaching in the hills. And, I did not expect to see this, but there it is. And, it's something that we have to attend to. I'm behind time, so I'm going to have to try to hurry. Okay. We have a picture of a Tesla Model S. This was in Clean Technica. The title is "Tesla Model S has 430,000 miles on one battery. One of the many false claims of some EV critics is, one of the many false claims some EV critics make is that somehow EV batteries just magically and suddenly stop working after a while. A YouTube video on Auto Trader channel is about a Tesla Model S that has 430,000 miles on it using just one battery. And it's still going. I should point out this particular car is a taxi, and the owner of this taxi has another Tesla which has 375,000 miles on its battery. And I just saw today in the news, I didn't put it into the material for the day because it seems like it's not all that important. Another car has another 400,000 miles on it. These batteries are very long lasting compared to such short lasting things as gasoline engines, diesel engines. Diesel engines could last 400,000 miles, maybe, if you're lucky. But a gasoline engine, I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong, but you know, I think the gasoline powered engines don't tend to last. Okay, our next item, oh, I like this picture. Our next item is, we're up to Monday, July 8th, and we have a picture of Abingdon-on-Thames. And this is from Clean Technica. Labour and climate celebrate big wins in the UK. Now, we're back to the UK Labour Party. Britain's Labour Party won the UK general election by a landslide, ending 14 years of Conservative Party rule. The time has come in which Labour and climate activists will be working together toward common goals. The next Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, has a 326 seat majority in the Parliament, and that's fine for climate and climate change and renewable energy. But I should point out that at the same time, there was an election that went on in France. The polls were showing that the conservative, super conservative, from what I understand, super conservative people in Parliament, the French Parliament, were going to win. And what happened was a bunch of people who were running against them stepped out of the race so that other people who were in the race would win. And the result of that, which I don't know how many people stepped out of the race, but the result of that was that the super conservatives lost. In fact, they came in third place. Okay, our next item has wind turbines in Ireland. And this is from Renews. The title is Wind Provided 34% of Irish Power in 2024. The June Wind Energy Report shows Ireland's wind farms provided 34% of the country's electricity in the first half of 2024. The latest figures published by Wind Energy Ireland show wind power generation in June of 2024 was the third highest on record for a June month, totaling 771 gigawatts. Now, today I had, was it today or yesterday? I found a report that says that Ireland is now the fifth best place in Europe to invest in. It's the fifth most attractive place in Europe to invest money in renewable energy. So this is not a huge surprise to me. Okay, we have an item from ABC News, and this is a picture of Death Valley. The title is Torrid Heat Bakes Millions Across the United States, Setting Records and Fanning Wildfires. Fanning wildfires is something that bothers me. A long-running heat wave that has already shattered previous records across the United States persisted on Sunday, baking parts of the West with dangerous temperatures that caused the death of a motorcyclist in Death Valley, really badly hurt some of his companions, and held the East in its hot and humid grip. And that problem, which existed on Monday a week ago, today being a Monday, is actually increased. We're suffering from that now. Okay, we're up to Tuesday, July 9th, and I have a picture of a wind farm and an item from Quartz. Okay, the title of the article is "Wind Energy is Powering America More Than Coal for the First Time Ever." Now, this is important just because of the information that it gives. American energy generation has just got a bit cleaner this year. Data from the EIA, the EIA is the Energy Information Administration, which is part of the EPA, suggests that wind power is a bigger source of electricity than coal for the first time ever. I should repeat that. We are getting more energy from wind power than from coal. Data from the the agency says that wind was responsible for 47.7 terawatt hours of energy in April versus coal's 37.2 terawatt hours. That's 47.7 versus 37.2. Now, that doesn't mean that coal is not going to come back a bit. In fact, the production of energy by coal goes up and down on a more or less continuous basis. Coal produces more in the winter, and it produces more in the summer. It produces more in the winter because people need more electricity because of cold. It produces more in the summer because people need more electricity because of heat. It's driving heating, it's driving air conditioning. Wind does the same thing. What happened in, April? April. What happened during April was that we were in the in-between time. The amount of energy from wind, when it goes down, does not go down all that much. The amount of energy from coal, when it goes down, can go down quite a lot. So I think we're probably going to be in a time that is betwixt and between, where wind power will outproduce coal part of the time, and coal will outproduce wind part of the time for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years. We'll just have to see. But the time is coming when wind power will be ahead of coal, will outproduce coal all the time. Okay, we have an item from Clean Technica, a picture of solar power. The title is "Solar and Wind Uptake to Reach 5.4 terawatts from 2024 to 2033. During that time, developers will bring more than 5.4 terawatts of new solar and wind capacity online. And 5.4 terawatts, by the way, is 5,400 gigawatts. And a gigawatt of energy capacity is what you get out of one nuclear power plant. So this is 5,400. Unfortunately, it is not 5,400 nuclear power plants, because wind power and solar power produce about a third as much, maybe a little less, of the energy that a nuclear power plant produces. So maybe it's 1,800 nuclear power plants, but it's a lot. Increasing the cumulative global total to 8 terawatts. This is, by the way, worldwide. As the world endeavors to electrify economies and meet decarbonization targets, according to analysis by Wood Mackenzie. So this is something that is, what we're seeing is a serious uptake of wind and solar power. Nuclear power, I don't know whether it's going to increase or not. I'm reading all the time in the news about how nuclear power is growing. And frankly, I don't see it happening. And part of the reason I don't see it happening is because nuclear power has been growing in terms of interest in nuclear power, but it takes, for about a year and a half, 2 years, and it takes many years to build a nuclear power plant, and some of the nuclear power plants that they're building, they haven't even started. So I don't think we're at that point yet. Whether we ever get to that point is an open question, because nuclear power is so expensive and it takes so long to develop. So I don't know what's going to happen there, but something will. Okay, we have a picture of wind turbine and an item from Renews. And the title here is Reeves to Scrap England's Onshore Wind Ban. Okay, who is Reeves? Rachel Reeves is the new government's energy minister. The new UK Labour government is set to lift the de facto ban on onshore wind in England. Rachel Reeves will declare in her first major speech as Chancellor. I'm sorry, I said she was the energy minister, she's the Chancellor. Reeves will make the pledge as part of an overhaul of the planning system that she will outline later today. Now, what is today? Today is last Tuesday, so it's almost a week ago at this point, according to the BBC. And it's a big change. It's a very big change. We are up to Wednesday, July 10th. Whoops. And we have a sign here that reads, if the climate was a bank, you would have saved it already. Okay, this is from Clean Technica. Global warming alert. Earth has passed 1.5 degrees Celsius milestone. Back in the day, 9 years ago, the COP, I forget what number it was, the COP meeting put together a goal of 1.5 degrees Celsius maximum. And they were saying that they thought we might be able to hit that we might hit it sometime around 2035, something like that. But it got hit and passed early. According to the Copernicus Climate Change Service, average global temperatures between July 2023 and June 2024, that is a complete year, were the highest on record, creating a year-long stretch in which the Earth was 1.64 degrees Celsius hotter than in pre-industrial times. Quote, this is not good news at all, end quote. Now, if you wonder why we had the news that we started with, that the glaciers were retreating at an alarming rate in Alaska, and other things that have happened in this episode of this show, And in previous episodes, in Energy Week, we've been talking about this for months, longer. Global warming, climate change is happening far faster than we had projected, unfortunately. And we have to do something about it, or we're going to go off into some kind of climate neverland. And if the governor of Texas or the governor of Florida don't want to have that appear in the textbooks, they can make it not appear in the textbooks, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. And at some point, they're no longer going to be in office, and whoever is in office is going to have to say, well, you've been lied to. You being the people of Texas, the people of Florida, or any other place where the children have been told that this isn't happening in school, because it is happening. And we might as well tell them the truth about it. And it's mind-blowing that we don't tell the children things that are real. And believe me, I think they know it. Okay, we're going to go to the Western Telegraph and have a picture of Fishguard. That is the picture of the harbor at Fishguard, and there's a pair of towns that kind of wrap around that Fishguard. The other place is called Gouin. The title here is Transition Bro Gouin Turbine Paves the Way for Exciting Plan. Fishguard is Abergwaun. Gwaun is pronounced Gouin. In Wales, Transition Bro Gouin put up a community wind turbine as a joint venture with Parc Imorva Farms in 2015. So far, it has generated £75,000 for profit that has been reinvested in the local community. Now, 2 other towns plan to do the same thing. Okay, what are they saying here? They're saying that this village has put up 1 wind turbine. They have a farm with 1 wind turbine. And that is, that has an effect. I'm sorry, I've lost my cursor here. Okay. That has an effect on the local economy, because they've in 3 years, oh, I'm sorry, it's in 8 years. In 8 years, they have made £76,000, which is, I'm gonna guess it's probably close to $90,000, which is being reinvested in the local community. So other towns nearby have said, we can do that, and they're talking about putting up their own wind turbines, run from their own farms, from their own wind farm, and that's what they're doing. I think with I don't know whether the fact that the English government has had this kind of ban on kind of de facto ban on wind turbines. I don't know whether that has had an effect on Wales. It didn't prevent the wind turbine in Fishguard from going up, and it's not going to. I think it will probably not have much effect on the other 2 communities that are looking at this, but it very likely is. We have one last piece here, and we have a picture of a car being charged. This is from Mirage News, And the title is ACT Electric Fleet Powered Grid in Energy Crisis. Now, the ACT is the Australian Capital Territory, which is kind of like, I'm going to say it's kind of like DC, the District of Columbia. Canberra is the city that's in the Australian Capital Territory, and it's like Washington, DC. So they're, I'm thinking they're completely surrounded by New South Wales, whatever that means. I know, I have a picture of it in my mind. I suppose most of the people in who are watching this show don't have that picture. Nevertheless, this is from Mirage News. And the title is ACT Electric Fleet Powered Grid in Energy Crisis. Okay, 16 ACT government fleet EVs, electric vehicles, fed power back into Australia's grid during a major power emergency in 2024. The response proves the viability of vehicle-to-grid technology, which was tested as part of the Realizing Electric Vehicles to Grid Services trial, which began in 2020. So what happened here was that the trial began in 2020, and it has been conducted since then. Well, in 2024, it finally got into a situation where the Capital Territory grid required energy from these 16 vehicles. Now, I don't know how fast these vehicles can provide energy. It could be maybe as fast as, I'm just guessing, 10 megawatts for the lot of them. Or it might be a half of that or a third of that, but it's not going to be much lower than that. Nevertheless, they could get a substantial amount of electricity out of these 16 vehicles that they had tried, and they are apparently pleased with the response because they don't have any caveats here warning other people or organizations against doing this. Okay, we have our latest thing. And what we're told here, what we at Energy Week wish the viewer is have a comprehensively superb week. And we hope you come back next time. I'm sure that Tom's cat is waving its tail at you. I will wave goodbye, and hope you have a lovely week. Bye-bye.